My name is Diana Scontris. I am the daughter of Charles Scontris. So mine is an emotional support of Bill LD 1816 to honor my father, his legacy, and his passion for history and education. My entire life, my father was always researching and writing about the history of labor in Maine. He was a living library of knowledge.
You know, Charles Scontris is one of a kind, I think, in the whole country, and he read every newspaper that ever existed in the state of Maine, and pulled out anything to do with labor, and wrote books about it. And so he pretty much covered our entire history of organized labor in Maine. And I don't know whether any other state that has anything like that.
He would talk about his mother, working in the textile mills, and it's probably what really started him, because he used to say that, she had no fingerprints left just from working so hard in the textile mills.
Anytime there was a labor event, whether it was a picket line or a convention or training, Charlie was just there and dispersing these sort of gems of history that many of us had no knowledge of. For me, it really sparked my interest to actually end up, studying, going to school, and getting a Bachelor of Labor History from the National Labor College.
He always wanted to teach everyone. So he was a teacher till the day he left.
The origins of this idea of having a school go back to the 1920s and 1930s. One of the things about movements is the people involved always recognize the importance of learning their own history that's usually been denied them. In the 20s and 30s, we had labor schools in this country, and out of which a lot of the discussions and the education that took place at those labor schools, especially the Highlander Folk School, which is a great example, comes the CIO essentially. And also out of Highlander came the citizenship schools, which were the foundation of the civil rights movement in the 50s and 60s in this country.
Strengthening labor studies in our communities is fundamentally a question of democracy. People cannot have a deliberate say in their societies or governance without an understanding of the mechanisms by which their rights and responsibilities came into existence. Even so, labor history is not widely taught in K-12 or in higher education. As historian Stud Sterkel put it, working people themselves have no understanding of their past, no idea where the minimum wage or the 8-hour day came from. There is no past. In this sense, an act to promote labor education is essentially an act to dignify the knowledge created by past workers and to further democratize the experiences of current and future workers.
One of the things I found over the years is that the only time workers really get to think really collectively is during a strike, because they have the time. We just don't have the time. We're too busy. We have our union business, we have our jobs, we have our families. As anybody who's active in organized labor knows, our people are very, very busy, especially the officers. And so when do we get a chance to really sit and talk? You really need a school where you can bring people together, rank and file members, officers, people in the community, and talk about labor issues and have public forums to talk about those things. Because we presently don't have that.
I support LD 1816 because the labor center at USM would be very helpful for immigrant workers. Many immigrant workers don't know their rights in the workplace.
When poor and working class people participate in writing history, it's more accurate, it's more accessible and equitable, and it better prepares all of us to make smarter decisions together in the future.
If you really want to have a democracy, then voters have to be educated, and they have to be educated about a lot of important, meaningful things that are not usually talked about, but that are really important to people's lives.
LD 1816 will ensure that my father's great body of knowledge is expanded upon and passed on to future generations of Maine workers so that they have a deeper understanding of who they are and the collective power they have to make the world a better place for all working people.